It's our last episode of season 3. Join us as we make something special for baby.
That's right, we'll be sharing our tips and tricks for sewing with that well-loved fabric, Minky, and filling you in on where we'll be filming season 4 in September. I'm Kim.
And I'm Chris, and you're watching The DIY Dish. So to close the season, we wanted to share a simple project using one of our most favorite fabrics. You know what it is. It's soft, it's sweet.
That's right. You can't help but want to just put it up to your face and feel it because it is so soft.
That's right, and it's Minky fabric. Now, we know that Minky can sometimes cause a love-hate kind of relationship, don't you think, Kim?
Yeah, definitely. It can pucker, it can slip, and it can cause a big mess.
That's right, but don't let that scare you, because today we're going to show some tips that may just help you along the way with Minky fabric.
That's right. To make this simple baby quilt, we used flannel on one side and Minky on the other side.
Yeah,
of course, it can be cut to any size, but because I wanted a small quilt, I cut it to a 30 by 30 inch square. Now, with that being said, I'm going to share my first tip with sewing this stuff, and it actually is something that you do before you even go to that sewing machine. Tip number 1. Now, cotton or flannels can shrink, but Minky will not. So pre-wash your coordinating fabric to allow for that, and then cut your Minky and coordinating fabric to the size that you want.
That's a great tip, Kim. How about tip number 2? Pin, 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 and pin some more.
Can't stress that enough.
You can't have too many pins on Minky. Minky tends to shift, so when you're placing right sides together, pin about every 1 to 2 inches, and don't only pin around the outside edge, but also inside is very helpful. It may seem tedious, but trust us, it's going to be worth it. So as you can see with our baby blanket here, we've pinned around all 4 edges with the right sides together.
Now, on to tip number 3. Use a walking foot. Now, yours may look something similar to this, and you can simply attach this to your own sewing machine. But since I am using the Janome Horizon, I actually got the same result by sewing with something called the dual feed device. This dual feed device is extremely effective for sewing with hard to feed materials such as vinyl or leather, and in this case Minky, because it can also eliminate layer slippage.
That's right. So tip number 4, always test your length of stitch and tension on some test fabric. You may need to lengthen your stitch to avoid some puckering, and it's definitely worth taking the time to test it out so you can work out any problems you have before doing that on the final project.
And finally, tip number 5, keep things clean. Now, Minky tends to shed and have a lot of those little flurries. So while you are cutting it, keep maybe a lint roller or a small little vacuum in the area. We actually like to cut ours and then shake out all those flurries before sewing. This is also true for while you are sewing. Clean under that throat plate and around the bobbin case and feed dogs often so that you don't build up those little flurries inside of your machine.
So there you go, our 5 tips for sewing with Minky. And once we are done sewing around all 4 edges, make sure to leave about a 4-inch opening for turning inside out.
Just like this.
That's right. And notice that we did not use batting.
There is no batting. Of course, you could use a low loft batting, I would suggest, but we are keeping it simple here since there's, it's thick, it still has a good weight, and I think it's still going to keep you just as warm.
Exactly. The Minky is so soft that there's really no need to add anything else on that.
All right.
And we finished it off with a top stitch once it was all turned inside out. And there you go.
Here's the final product. Take a look. Isn't that fun?
Cute.
Can you just imagine that on
I love it.
with a little baby wrapped up
I
in
love it.
I want it. I want a big size one of these to put on my family room couch and just cozy up with a good book.
Oh, it sounds wonderful. Now, to find more free patterns for making baby burpees and more blankets, be sure to visit thediydish.com and we'll link you up to those.
Thanks again for being a part of the DIY Dish this season. We look forward to our regular episodes with you during season 4. And where will we be filming from?
Let's
Our
see.
new studio setup is going to be in
My girlfriend's quilt shop.
That's right, Chris's new quilt shop opening this June. My girlfriend's quilt shop. We are excited about the ambiance and the inspiration that we can help to create there. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you felt that creativity was served. We'll see you in September. Bye.